Welcome to Blueprint 2020. I am Cliff Isaacson, Head of Product Strategy here at Blue Ridge, and this session is to cover advanced pricing. I'm covering specific advanced pricing challenges and potential solutions rather than purely pricing theory. Certainly plenty of great organizations and conferences that I can recommend on pricing theory that I've found excellent in the past. But I'm going to focus on some actionable information today. So we've expanded well beyond our first quarter launch earlier this year, which is no surprise. We have moved forward even through all this craziness over the last couple of months. And some of the things we've added along the way, customer segmentation, negotiated pricing by customer, sales guidance, kit pricing, tiered pricing, promotion analysis. We've really worked hard to expand out our pricing solution to complement all the other solutions that you're probably just as familiar with, if not more familiar with, here at Blue Ridge. So distributors, specialty retailers, and light manufacturers fall somewhere on the curve of pricing sophistication. And no customer falls into a single isolated bucket. I don't want to, profess that this maturity curve is a one-size-fits-all and everybody fits into a point. And what I'd like to say is I've observed that I've seen some very sophisticated pricing done in a manual fashion. So it's not to say that you have to have tools in place. However, in general, the idea is to solve increasingly complicated challenges, pricing challenges, as smoothly as possible so that a greater proportion of your assortment can be priced and managed actively. And that's really what, to me, is about pricing maturity is about. There's a separate Blueprint session on introductory pricing, which Anna and I will cover. And that covers things like managing margins, setting list prices, setting other price levels that are linked to a list price, competitive positioning, the basics of customer pricing, and ultimately making sure that prices drive towards a company financial objectives. These are day-to-day pricing activities. They're very important. I'm not discounting them. I'm just pointing out that they are covered in another session. And these are part of the day in the life of a pricing team. What I'm really going to try to cover here today is advanced capabilities that are really done on a more infrequent basis. They provide additional financial benefits beyond baseline activities, which certainly, in implementing a pricing solution or implementing better pricing process, you get a big initial boost, potential boost in revenues and profits. This is a way of continuing to get benefits through addressing greater and greater pricing challenges. So let's talk about those. So one of those challenges is kit pricing. Kit pricing is one example of many, actually, where it's a single form factor, a single approach that actually addresses multiple pricing challenges. The most common one is price bundling to increase customer purchase. And, so what is typically done is you're grouping things together, things that are typically sold together, so that when the customer comes in at time of purchase, they have an option to not just buy things piecemeal, but buy things all together. It's a good way of really signaling that these items go together have complementary purposes. And, the benefit to our customers is that at time of purchase, the size of the purchase tends to be larger. It's it drives a market basket size. But there are other things that it can address. Things like grouping items that you want sold together to improve customer service or anticipate products being used together. Very common in repair parts or in durable goods where you have repair items or maintenance items, or they're used together in projects. One of the advantages there is that now you can ensure that customers are purchasing things together and you have more confidence that their customer success is going to be better and their customer service is going to be better because now they have all the products that you offer together to address one of these projects, a common maintenance project or an overall larger project, a do-it-yourself project where maybe they're redoing an entire house or they're building out a new hospital. You can have standardized groupings there. So, how does it look? What would this look like to set in a pricing strategy? So the idea here is that you've created a bill of material for the kit. And what you're doing is then allowing the system to price out those individual components separately in whatever is the best fashion, the best strategy that's applied. And then once you've gotten to that better price, then roll it up and position either to this aggregate best price for all the components separately or the costs underlying it, and using that in a pricing strategy. One example here is let's set it to a 10% discount below buying all the products together. So here's the advantage of, the outcome of this is you're going to get a larger basket size because they're buying all the items in the kit bill of material. But then ultimately, the next thing is, hey, let's make sure that we're maintaining a minimum margin, which is a margin above all the costs of the components added together. So, it's a typical pricing strategy where even in pricing kits and bundles of items together, making sure that you meet margin requirements. So, and you can get to increasing levels of sophistication with kit pricing, adding labor components, adding other things to the bill of material here. So, just re-emphasizing that there's a lot of approaches to kit pricing to address these common problems. So tiered pricing, what is tiered pricing? It's another product relationship that can be used for multiple purposes. For example, it can be used to price or create price separation between products on a specific attribute. One example that we talk about here is, if there's a 6, 8, and a 10-foot ladder. I use this example often, so I apologize to most people if they heard it before. But with inherent to cost plus pricing is, if your 8-foot ladder is your fast seller, then what happens with cost plus pricing is, as you sell more and more of the 8-foot ladder, if it's a margin control, that's going to end up getting a lower price because you're acquiring more of it or you're manufacturing more of it. And what happens is your 8-foot ladder can become priced less than your 6-foot ladder. And it creates price inconsistencies. And what ultimately happens is you're leaving profits and revenues on the table because your 8-foot ladder, your best seller, is actually underpriced versus creating a rational good, better, best relationship on this attribute, implying that the 8-foot ladder and the 10-foot ladder should be priced higher than the 6-foot ladder. And by the way, I mentioned good, better, best, which is a quality rating. And it's commonly referred to as good, better, best, where it's grouping products together that share quality to make sure that higher quality items have a higher price point and create a rational pricing decision for your customers. And it's common in retail, but it's also common in industrial goods as well. I think everybody's walked into a discount retailer and seen this price walk from higher and higher, potentially, I use the example of televisions, and this price separation that allows you to understand what the benefits are of walking up the product curve is and paying a premium as you walk up the curve. And the same thing is true with durable goods. So how is this done? What it's pointing out here is, in this case, it's a strict separation. What we're doing is we're ensuring that the better tier is at least 10% above the good tier, and the best tier is 10% above the better tier. But you can have much more flexibility here. In this case, it's a weighted average price within the tier structure. But you don't have to adhere to a straight, every product within the tier shares the same price. That's the advantage of, using price optimization and then simply ensuring that there's separation between the tiers of items without snapping them to a specific price point. That's the flexibility of a pricing system. because then you're allowing willingness to pay to drive smaller price points, but you're still ensuring this rational price structure that adheres to price tiering. I'll take a breather since I tend to talk fast and I want people to have an opportunity to absorb. So promotion analysis is an interesting problem to solve, and promotions in general. We have a number of activities underway and some work already done in causal forecasting. It's a, in other sessions, we'll talk about the hot button issues that are impacting distributors and especially retailers and light manufacturing. Causal forecasting is one of those items. Events that drive peaks in demand, and how do you maintain service levels? But promotions are, if events are out of a customer's control, but you simply have to plan for them and plan for the peaks in demand that are associated with them. Promotions are different. You have control over your promotions. And as we work on causal forecasting, we know that one of the logical steps is to set a promotion price to help you shape demand. But, given that we're still working on the causal forecasting side, we do want to provide capabilities here for creating promotions and analyzing promotions to determine what are good candidates for promotional activity. And that's what this does. So, these two areas are being covered. One is base pricing, is analytics to identify good candidates for promotional activities with metrics like high periods of supply. So it's inventory that's available to respond to peaks in demand, as well as willingness to pay and price sensitivity measurement. Because, when you determine a baseline price sensitivity, that's what determines which items will respond better to promotional activity. Then above and beyond that is the later phase where we'll be able to, and this is a future capability, be able to determine what promotional attributes work best based on past behavior. The other part of this is capabilities that we have today to create time-bound promotions that can be offered to specific customers, selected customer segments, or across all customers for items that have been identified that you call out as getting a promotion price below a list price. So these are two things that work well in conjunction together. One offered in base price optimization, and the other one offered in our newer net pricing sales guidance solution. So, what does this look like for promotional analysis? It's this analytical tool to sort, filter, and really drill into what items would respond well to a promotion and have periods of supply, high balance of on hand of inventory, so that you can determine which of these products at specific locations are candidates to serve customers through promotional activity. And, without actually executing on the promotion, these are also candidates to take back to your suppliers and negotiate which ones would respond better and should be supported with promotional activities and potentially rebate activities. So it's a good negotiating tool to help and collaborate with your suppliers on which products there is willingness to pay on and there is customer demand for, versus having a blind push based on what items you're trying to take off the shelf, which is certainly another use case for this, but perhaps more of a clearance activity. The second piece of this that I mentioned was promotion management, which is as you set up discounts and rebates, this is an opportunity to go in and choose to apply this either at the customer level or the customer segment level, or even globally, to apply a promotion to specific products that's time bound, that has a start and an end date and has certain promotional activity that's associated with it, in this case, a 9% discount. The opportunity here is let this apply, and then when it expires, and this is one of the advantages of discounts and rebates in our solution, is that once it expires, then customers get restored to the list price, and they get those list price back when they're purchasing. So it's not something that has to be actively managed, but we also have support for which of these promotions is performing well, which ones through the profit leakage curve at the customer level, the customer segment level, and even at the product location level, which promotions are impacting profits in the profit waterfall, which is valuable in understanding which promotions have historically responded well. Many of our customers maintain prices for very large assortment. It's one of their strong differentiators for many of our customers. And this includes not only managing large assortments, but managing large volumes of new product introductions. And that can be difficult to manage. When you have large volumes, it's difficult to price these new items on a one-off basis. So what we have introduced is the ability to automatically assign new products that are flagged as new products and coming in to the system, and using complex attribute filtering, automatically assign them to a segment. And then that segment, the strategy for that segment is being driven by what items share that same attribute or set of attributes. And you've now chosen the best pricing strategy to apply to that segment. So then going forward, these new items get that pricing strategy. So this is a way of automatically assigning these items to the appropriate segment where there are attributes that are shared. And it follows our segmentation approach, which is there is a application at the priority level. So if a given new product sold on a given channel or out of a given location meets certain criteria to be assigned, and filtering criteria to be assigned to two different segments, one of them will win out based on application of the filter criteria. So let's take a look at how that actually looks. So if you're familiar with our segmentation capabilities, there's fairly sophisticated filtering that can be created and saved at the product level, at the location or channel level, and even at the product location level. And we're adding new capabilities in this area with every release, including days of supply and other attributes that are dynamic in nature. The idea being, when you create a filter and save it using complex logic, being able to save that filter as auto segmentation criteria. And that way, when a new product comes in and meets that segmentation criteria, it's automatically put in the correct bucket, and the best strategy that's been chosen for that segment is then applied to price out that new product. So this is where you can see the capabilities here for saving the filter and the filter criteria for auto segmentation. So this certainly isn't a comprehensive list of advanced pricing capabilities, but it's representative of some of the additional pricing use cases that we've added over the last couple of months. I think the takeaway that I want for people that are viewing this is that we're adding new capabilities on a monthly basis, and we're addressing further and further complexities in the pricing maturity curve. The idea being we will have rapid integration, get customers up to speed using our base pricing to enhance their pricing processes, and then start to march them up the maturity curve. These core capabilities are applied using this criteria to help prioritize them. It's the core pillars of our pricing solution and things that we find important. So one of them is machine learning, and continuing to leverage the data science team that we have, the robust data science that Raj, our Chief Data Analytics Officer, has built out to enhance the capabilities of our pricing solution as well as our other solutions. That means better willingness to pay. It means measuring competitive price sensitivity. These are examples of things we have today that leverage machine learning. Competitive price sensitivity being a capability to allow us to measure historical own price versus competitive prices to determine which one influences demand the most, so that you can focus on positioning against the correct competitor. And then the other things we do around tactical and strategic forecasting. And as this solution matures, along with our other supply chain planning solutions, the emergence of overlaps so that we have more and more tightly integrated forecast and demand sensing signals being pushed into a common demand forecast. The other thing that's a driver for us is exception management. And we've introduced some dynamic pricing capabilities. I didn't cover them today, but happy to talk about them in detail, which is really driving towards some of these exception management capabilities that are driving priorities. Things like alerting customers to which items are impacting their business and helping them prioritize daily activities. And then finally, dynamic pricing is about where certain pricing recommendations fit criteria, automatically approving them so that you can focus as a pricing team on higher value activities. And as you get more comfortable with the system, adjusting that slider bar of auto approvals higher up so that you focus on the ones that have the highest financial impacts. This third pillar is strategic forecast. So some of the things that we have here are when you do pricing segmentation, making sure that there's analytical capabilities to leverage the science that we're doing around machine learning to segment out and group together product locations or product channels. And the other thing is clustering customers, measuring customer price sensitivity and providing analytics so that you can cluster together customers and create customer segmentation. And then finally, these high value activities around running different pricing simulations for either managing discounts and rebates that are applied at the customer or the customer segment level, and understanding a price waterfall and its profit impacts, or running different strategies by segment, these clusters of product locations, to understand what is the best forecasted outcome based on the best pricing strategy. Or if you don't like the results, creating a new pricing strategy and rerunning it to see updated forecasted results. App-like simplicity, we are trying to make steady improvements to the usability of this newer product and making it merged into the overall supply chain planning platform. That means enhancements and continual enhancements to executive and tactical dashboards and prescriptive analytics, and some of the advancements we're making not only in what we feel is best-in-class out-of-the-box analytical capabilities, but also enhancing our BI tools so that customers can create custom analytics, which is very common, depending on the customer and the customer pricing processes and the industry that they're in. Network effect is important to us. We're a cloud-based solution, so allowing price recommendations and some of the science that we're creating to be used and leveraged for supply chain collaboration, including supplier negotiations, and some of the other things we're doing through Lifeline in benchmarking your performance versus your peer group. And then finally, seamless integration. Just like the rest of our platform and integration with 40 plus different ERPs and MRPs, we're leveraging that platform to make it very quick time to value, to have fast configuration, get people up to speed, to get value out of the system. Then as we march them up the maturity curve, unlocking other capabilities using that same data interface that is shared across our supply chain planning applications. So hopefully that makes sense. So thank you for joining. This is a short 30-minute presentation, but I'm happy to answer questions. So I would suggest, if we can't answer them today, please feel free to reach out to me at cliff.isaacson@blueridgeglobal.com, or reach out to your Lifeline rep who can put you in touch with me. Happy to answer questions. Otherwise, thank you for joining today. Hope this made sense. I'm happy to provide a copy of this presentation if it helps. And I hope you enjoy Blueprint and the other Blueprint sessions today. Thank you for joining.